Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, a collection review for a fellow Belgian. We're gonna call him Kevin as an homage to Kevin De Bruyne. If you love soccer, you know who he is, of course. Anyway, Kevin is 35, he's a family man. He works in the marine environment. He loves nautical sports. Like me, he loves music, loves guitars, and he's got a few nice watches that he inherited from his granddad and from his dad, and then he bought a few watches himself there in the past 2 years during the different lockdowns. And I'm going to paraphrase a bit the long email that he sent to me. I had actually done this review 2 weeks ago, and it turned out to be a 25 minutes video, and then I had my holidays. Listening back to it, it was a bit too complicated. I've decided to redo it and maybe go straight to the point a bit quicker. So the core of the collection of Kevin is very much something he was gifted and inherited. So from his grandpa, he got a vintage IWC. It's 814A Peloton, some treatment damage on the dial, but it's a great piece nevertheless. His grandpa wore it for 30 years before getting a Submariner, which he also gifted to Kevin. It's the 14060M, still in a good nick. Kevin wore it a lot. Just a stone cold classic, right? And then from his dad, who also has very good taste in watches, he got a GLC master compressor Memovox on the steel bracelet. It's a very impressive watch. So you have the alarm, and it's also a diver. A bit quirky, but at least it's something you don't see on every other wrist. It's a good balance with the very classic Rolex. I like it very much, especially if it's a gift. His dad, by the way, got a perpetual calendar for himself from GLC as well. Then Kevin decided to get a very nice Chopard LUC XPS with a beautiful sunburst dial, a great movement. Chopard, if you get it at a good price, you get a lot of watch for the money, and it complements the other two watches great. It's the core of the collection for Kevin. In the vintage department, he got himself also a Certina DS2, not quite the level of the IWC, but as he says, it's a solid watch, good quality Swiss watch with a fun case. I think everybody can have that in their collection, that kind of quirky 60s, 70s turtle type of shape in the collection. Where things get a bit worse here is that Kevin got into watches and bought a bunch of Seikos. Guilty as charged. I'm the same, and I can't help myself when there's a limited edition coming in. I think you have to be a bit selective. Problem, you often get quite tired of those watches pretty quickly, so don't hang on to them too much. So in his collection there was the SPB 053, the blue 62 mass re-edition. They did, and then 2 years later they did it properly. So I had that one, and I sold it because I realized all sorts of things were wrong, especially the hands, and it was a good first effort, but they did it much better afterwards. I'm not a fan of that one. Then the black limited edition of the Sumo, I had the Turtle. It was entertaining for 2 weeks, then I sold it. Then the Shogun SBDC 029, hang on to that one. I had it, love it, the titanium, it's the Shogun, I love that one. The new version is not so nice. I really prefer the SBDC 029, that's my favorite. Then everybody has to have the Alpinist, so Kevin got the Ginza version, the SPB 259 with a cool dial. Why not? Then the Saab 065, the Cocktail. I don't know why you would have that in your collection. I have to say it, if you have a Chopard, get rid of this thing. It can't possibly make you feel good. Then we have a Citizen Diver, which he likes very much. Nothing wrong with that. Then an Oris Pro Pilot Date 8. Kevin says doesn't really like the clasp on it. To be honest, I think neither your dad or your grandpa would have bought that watch. They would have gone straight for the IWC if you're gonna get a Pilot. Obviously is quite alright, but I think you can aim a bit higher. When you look at the core of your collection, you already have a few Seikos. The Oris, I don't know if it has a place in this collection. I'd rather you go for a Navitimer or an IWC pilot watch. I think the collection deserves it. Then as a work watch, he's got the Citizen ProMaster Sky JY8085 14H. It's an eco drive with a lot of functions, and he actually uses them with the aeronautical bezel, the conversion, the calculations that you can do with it. Kevin says it's a great watch, a bit thick at 14 millimeters, but I have to say it here, Kevin has 21 centimeter wrist, 21 and a half, so really on you it probably looks small. You can wear anything, and that's going to be important for what you're going to add next to your collection. And then he's got a G-Shock 2100. You know, a lot of people like them. To me, there are enough solid watches you can wear. Even as a beater, I play tennis with my Speedmaster. I don't really have much enjoyment wearing a G-Shock. I want to enjoy all the time when I have a watch on. And he bought and sold a few more Seikos, like the King Turtle, the Sumo Green. I had that one too. The Samurai, another titanium Citizen ProMaster. So there you go. Now he's a bit wary of the risk of wearing the sub and the GLC when traveling and all that, because of the value of the watches, also the sentimental value of the watches, and he kind of feels a bit more comfortable with the more affordable watches, but he does like accuracy. So where are we headed? So we have a nice core, we have a bunch of questionable watches. I think you've got it, well, like everybody else, like we all do. We got to be excited with the hobby, and we tick some boxes, and I think it's time to refocus and buy watches that you would be proud to gift away yourself, to give to your kids in 30 years. And of course the Seikos, you can always gift them. I'm going to do that actually when I go back to Belgium in July. All of my nephews will get a watch. It's better than just sell them and get half the money you put in them. All right, anyway, I'm sure you all think the same thing as I'm thinking, and as Kevin is thinking. Chronograph, Zenith El Primero, Breguet Type 21, Speedy, GLC Master Chronograph, or Navitimer. Kevin likes all of these. He says wearability is important to him, and the thinner the better, which is why he likes the El Primero. But he does have very large wrist, 21.5. So to me, I don't know if you need I mean, it's nice to have a thinner watch. It means you have to pay more usually. The higher the horology, the thinner the watch. It's really the best complication is being thin. He says he's drawn to a GLC Navy Seals chrono. I had never seen it before, and it's a huge watch, as Kevin notes. To me, it looks too much like your other GLC. Forget about it. It's a bit too niche. He's looking at the Grand Seikos as well. I like some of them. I think Grand Seiko is getting there, but there are still some issues. The clasps don't have any adjustment in them. The bracelets don't taper. Most of the watches are still relatively thick and I think a bit anonymous, and some of the dials are just over the top. And the problem is servicing Grand Seiko can be an issue as well in certain countries. Even here in Hong Kong, being so close to Japan, it still has to go to Japan, and it can take months. Also, he's thinking about square watches, Tank American, Reverso. I would, in your case, having a large wrist, I would go for the Santos and wait for the new releases. They look very nice, very chic watch. So if you want something a bit dressier rather than Grand Seiko, and if you want something like a square watch, yeah, the Cartier Santos, they're very nice. You get the strap that you can change as well, and the new versions with sort of ridges all around the bezel and on the dial, they look really cool. So wait a bit, to get one of those. So there you go. And he also likes a classic cars, thinking about maybe he should sell watches, get a classic car. You know, there are money pits, so you have to be able to work on them yourself. Otherwise, it's a bit of a drag. And watches too are a money pit. So that's why you want to buy quality. And you can see from your collection what you've inherited, what you've been gifted. This is quality watches, that quality watchmaking and quality style. So let's forget a bit about all the Seikos, the Oris as well, and focus on what a good chronograph would be for you. Of course, speedy can never go wrong. You know, the classic speedy. I would get the 1861 caliber, the one that just was removed from the catalog. It was replaced with a new one with a coaxial and all that. Go back to the previous one, the 1861, the one I have. The bracelet is very smooth, and you have the wrist perfect for it. You don't need the new bracelet that's a lot thinner and all that. I don't think it's going to look as good on you, and the new movement has had issues. You don't need all that. That's one great one. Breguet Type 21, yeah, it is nice as well, and bring a Breguet in the collection. That is quality. Zenith, you know, I just went to the Zenith boutique. They're nice. I like the Chronomaster Sport with the white dial or the black dial. Both are nice. Then they have the classic. They have the open versions as well. They're okay. But as you can see with Zenith, they always come up with more colors, more limited editions. Maybe it would be nice to have something that's a bit more permanent. That's why the Speedy is so nice, and the Breguet are so nice as well. Even though there are many Speedies, get the classic Moonwatch and you can never go wrong. Now, for me, because you're talking about having a watch that you're able to travel with, that has because you like the marine environment, you like the water. Water resistance can be important for you as well, and you won't get it with many chronographs. To me, why not put everything into one watch and consider Tudor? You know, Tudor are often a bit thicker because the architecture is a dive watch on the whole Black Bay line at least. And I really like the chronograph. Stay with me here, the SNG version with the black dial. It is the color of our flag, Belgium. You know, black, yellow, red. It is also the color of the classic John Player special. You know, if you remember Ayrton Senna, where he started. It's got a good movement coming from a Breitling, which is then retuned and modified by Tudor. You get the water resistance, great looks. It's a bit flash, but at the same time, it doesn't cost a crazy fortune. And of course, you have, if you don't want the bling of the bracelet, you can put it on straps as well. But if you really don't want to have the gold, maybe it's just me. I'm a bit of a fan of that black and gold look. Well, then the steel white dial or the steel black dial would be very nice as well, because they are divers and chronographs at the same time with the screw down pushers. I think that would be a nice addition to the collection. That way you would have a Rolex, a Tudor, a GLC, and a WC and a Chopard. That would be where I would go, because then that way you have something very nice you can put on the wrist when you travel. You know, a Tudor is a bit nicer than having to travel with a Seiko. And yeah, I like the idea of the steel and gold, but you can go steel only. If you get the Speedy, you can't really go in the water with it, so you have to be a bit careful. The Zenith El Primero, the Chronomaster Sport, has better water resistance. It's 100 meters. You can't really dive with it, of course. But that would be my next choice. I think if I was you, consider the Tudor, because at least it's not a disposable watch, and who knows, in 20-30 years it might be the one that people are looking for. I think I think it could be good for you. Let me know, guys, in the comments what you think, what you would add to this collection. Which chronograph would you add? Can't ever go wrong with the Speedy, but I think when you have the wrist for it, then that's where Tudor should come into the conversation, because at 21 centimeter wrist, it would be perfect for you. And people say it's thick. It's because the way it's built, with the sheer flanks, it's not that thick, really, to be honest. All right, there you go. Let's leave it at that. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing your collection. Guys, let me know a bit what you think. Don't you think it's time for you as well to leave the Seikos to the kids, the young people who can't afford a $10,000 watch, and maybe move on and get something a bit nicer. Actually, Kevin in his email says himself, maybe I should get rid of the Seikos and get an Aquaterra. Yeah, Aquaterra is always a nice watch. They're coming with new colors now. Yeah, Omega is never wrong. Omega divers are great. Yeah. I'm reading a bit through the emails as I'm saying all this. Yeah, to summarize what I've said, Cartier Santos large version, that would be a nice addition. Speedy Pro Moonwatch, that would be a nice addition. Tudor Black Bay, a GMT would be nice. Chronograph would be, I think, perfect and very usable for Kevin. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Kevin. Take care. Bye bye.